I just had a client uncover $17,000 in unnecessary spending through an expense review. The crazy thing is, none of the costs are wild over-the-top expenses. They were typical, everyman type of costs that you probably would have too. And his overspend was hiding in plain sight. If you're in your 50s or 60s, stay tuned. You'll want to hear where all that money was going, because you might be making the same mistakes. Welcome back, and if we haven't met, I'm Keith Demetriades, a financial advisor based out of Pampa, Texas. Today, we're uncovering thousands of dollars of potential savings that you can free yourself from in retirement. Sound good? Stick around to the end, and I'll give you an extra tip that could make an even greater impact on your retirement. Before we jump in though, I've got a free Designing the Retirement You Want guide linked in the description. Be sure to grab it because it ties directly to this conversation about making sure your money lines up with your life. Here's where my client's story begins. We set up a spending review, which is something I always recommend to my clients as they approach or begin retirement. Why? Because the routines you set years ago made sense for that season of life. They served a specific purpose. But most of the time, they don't fit how you're living today. This is where we started to uncover thousands of dollars in overspend for my client. Overspending tends to show up in 4 specific areas. The first category is life and supplemental insurance. This one can really cost you if you leave policies running after the original need is gone. Listen, when you first set the policies up, the risks were real. Maybe you had kids at home, a big mortgage, and an income your family depended on. A large life insurance policy was the smart move. But now, the mortgage may be nearly paid off. The kids are financially independent. Your retirement accounts and savings, they can cover risks that once felt overwhelming. So you're still insured like you've got 3 kids in college, a mortgage the size of Texas, but your actual life doesn't look like that anymore. I've seen people paying thousands of dollars a year for coverage that no longer applies to their situation. Others carry multiple overlapping policies without realizing it. The problem isn't that they bought insurance. The problem is that they never went back to update it. In my client's case, he realized he had a holdover permanent life policy that didn't make sense now that his children are adults. So he was able to drop it and save those premium costs. The second category is subscriptions and memberships. These often date back to routines from your working years. Maybe you joined a gym across town because it was close to the office, but you haven't set foot in it for years. The only thing that's getting a workout here is your credit card. Or you signed up for a country club because that's where the people in your industry did business over golf and dinner. But you just don't need that connecting point anymore. That's what happened with my client. He was still paying thousands in country club dues, even though he hadn't stepped foot on the golf course in almost 2 years. When he finally canceled it, boom, he had that money back in his pocket. I've also seen people still paying for professional associations they no longer participate in, training platforms they don't log into, or even software like accounting programs and design tools that were once essential for work, but now they serve no purpose at all. Even industry journals or membership boxes can keep renewing long after you've stopped paying attention. Thumbs up if you've ever caught a charge and thought, why am I still paying for this? This stuff can keep costing you for years without adding any value to the life you're actually living today. Get rid of the things you don't use. The third category is what I call the convenience tax. Now, this one doesn't show up on any budget worksheet, but I see it everywhere. It's what you pay to skip extra hassle, out-of-network ATM fees, expedited shipping, priority processing, that kind of thing. None of these are huge on their own, but they add up quickly. Now, in your 30s and your 40s, paying those fees probably made sense. You were stretched thin. You were working, raising kids, and juggling a packed calendar. Back then, saving time mattered. But in your 50s and 60s, you've got a little more flexibility. You don't have to keep paying for shortcuts you don't really need. Hey, I'll be the first to admit I'm an expedited shipping kind of guy. I like to keep things moving. So that's one I have to watch for myself. Tell me in the comments, what's the one convenience fee you pay the most? The fourth area is monthly service plans. Almost everyone has more than they need because you used to have to support more. Maybe you signed up for an internet package strong enough to power a small office because you had 2 working professionals plus students doing homework and streaming. You probably upgraded to unlimited cell data when you had teenagers at home because you needed to cover all that usage. And you probably stacked streaming services or had expanded cable service because everyone in the house had different interests and wanted to watch different shows. But let's face it, at this point, most of them probably sit unused. All of those choices fit at the time, but as life has changed, the needs have changed, and the bills usually haven't. I've seen people still paying for premium cable bundles, landlines nobody uses, or service add-ons they didn't even know were there. Because the charges show up every month, they just blend into the normal. But normal doesn't mean necessary. So what's the best way to audit your spending? Don't try to hit everything at once. Give yourself one category a week. And by the end of a month, you'll have a leaner, more intentional spending plan. Week 1, review your insurance. Write down every premium you're paying for life or supplemental coverage. Then ask, does this risk still exist? Is this amount still right for me? If the answer is no, or if you think you're double covered, call your provider, adjust the coverage, consolidate overlapping policies, or drop what no longer actually applies. Week 2, move to subscriptions and memberships. Go through your statements and circle every recurring charge. Cross out the ones you don't use or wouldn't sign up for again. Then cancel them while you're looking at them. This is one area where you get an immediate effect, and ending even a handful of old charges can save you thousands of dollars a year. Week 3, take a look at your convenience tax. Some of these are easy to spot, like out-of-network ATM charges that show up clearly on your statement. But most don't appear as a neat line item, which means you have to watch your habits in real time. Do you pay for expedited shipping? Are you paying extra for grocery or pharmacy delivery? And how often do you have dinner delivered? When you stack them together, even ordinary patterns, weekly food delivery, occasional valet services, some expedited shipping, and ATM fees, they can easily cost you hundreds of dollars a year. If these are consistent habits, and then you upgrade higher ticket things like flights or hotels, your costs are probably much higher. This week, the audit happens as you go. Chances are you were willing to trade money for time when you were younger. But are you really as pressed now as you were then? Week 4, check your monthly service plans. Check your internet, your phone, and cable bills. These companies love loyal customers because they can slowly bump up your bill and most folks won't even notice. The other thing is, you may think you're getting the best possible pricing for being a loyal customer, but that's not always the case. Call your provider and ask what a new customer would pay for the exact same package. If it's lower than your current pricing, start the negotiations. And if they won't work with you, shop around. I know, nobody likes calling around asking for quotes, but it beats paying extra for no good reason, right? Look, the reason I suggest auditing these 4 spending categories is that they're not fixed costs. There's wiggle room across the board in these areas. And remember this, every dollar you cut is a guaranteed return. There's no market risk, no guesswork, no hoping for the right conditions. That money goes right back into your pocket today. Thanks for joining me today. If this video helped you spot even one savings opportunity, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who could benefit from this advice. Because when you know where your money's really going, you can make sure it's working for the life you're actually living. Real wealth starts with real life. Don't just plan the numbers, plan the life.